You might have noticed that sometimes your Uber ride can cost something like 50 bucks, but the very next day it might be something like 80 or even 100 bucks. It's situations like that that really make you wonder what really goes into the pricing of a service. And to answer that question, people would probably say something like supply and demand, the production cost, or even the competition's pricing. And of course, they would be right. But today, the situation is very different. There's something that is totally changing the way we price things, and ultimately, it's increasing the cost of living and making your life more expensive. That something I'm talking about is AI, artificial intelligence, but more specifically, it's a process called dynamic pricing. It's algorithms that change prices very often, millions of times a day actually, depending on certain conditions to maximize the company's profits. To make it more clear, let me give you a quick example. In the beginning of 2020, there was a shooting in Seattle, and people were trying to flee the place. But all of a sudden, Uber ride prices started to explode.
When I opened the app, I then saw it was like $100 or something to get there, when normally it would have been maybe $30.
And that was happening because Uber's dynamic pricing algorithms was increasing the prices based on the situation. The shooting led to more people wanting to take Ubers to move away, but more people, it also means more demand. So the algorithm, seeing the opportunity to make more money, drastically increased the prices. And it actually ended up more than doubling them.
When gunfire rang out last night, people were looking for any way out. Tonight, some are saying safety went to the highest bidder.
This algorithm-based dynamic pricing technique started in the airline industry back in the 90s, but now it's everywhere from retail to transportation, real estate, and so much more. And those algorithms work with a few variables. It can be the weather, the time of the day, the competition's pricing, pretty much anything that can affect the price. So every time any of those variables changes, and it can almost be insignificant, the algorithm reacts. It increases or decreases the price, sometimes very drastically, in an attempt to gain an advantage over the competition and maximize its profits. And it totally works because those machines are able to deal with that sort of data extremely fast. Actually, more often than not, there are multiple competing dynamic pricing algorithms from different companies competing for the same goal. That's why airline companies can change about 500,000 prices every single day. There are so many things that can affect the price of a plane ticket. So this technology is definitely impressive compared to how we normally manage pricing. But just like anything, it also has its fair share of problems.
Constraints are important because left unbound, pricing algorithms can simply prioritize higher prices.
And sometimes that can lead to unintended discrimination. And that is exactly what researchers from Chicago found out. When studying data from Uber, they discovered that non-white neighborhoods, impoverished neighborhoods, and neighborhoods with younger people were having significantly higher prices on their rides. These algorithms can really get out of control because even the companies that makes them sometimes just don't fully understand all the decisions they take, because there are just too many things involved in the pricing. And there is something that is even scarier than that. They could learn to create some sort of cartels by themselves. So let me explain. In a normal cartel, two or more companies competing in the same market make a decision to fix a price that they will both follow and raise together to increase their profits. It's like a monopoly, and it's totally illegal. But what if two pricing algorithms from two totally different companies understand by looking at each other that by raising the price at the same rhythm, they stop competing and they make more profit? That's still a cartel, but this time it's totally legal. There's no human involved and nobody to arrest. The AI took the decisions by themselves. So at this point, there's not a lot of regulation on dynamic pricing, and that could lead to very bad situations. Imagine if Uber and other transportation services were changing prices depending on the percentage of battery left on your phone. It's situations like that that makes this innovation interesting, because that could be a smart move, but it doesn't really mean that it would be great for the consumer. So this technology is definitely here to stay, just like AI, but we probably need a bit more regulation to not let it go too far. So if you're interested in this subject, you should check out the MIT podcast in the sources. And tell me what you think about it in the comments, and also consider subscribing.